That snaps for losers, man. I don't get involved in that stuff, but
Angel Rashad Milligan rolling out.
That's a good question.
Brandon,
We
you want one
can't,
quick question?
we can't ask Rashad a question.
Go
Hey,
to,
Rashad.
no. Let's go to podcasters. Podcasters don't want to be called journalists. From Jules Turpet. I just saw the trailer for it. She put like a reel out, and I thought it was very interesting. She got Mark Cuban on here a few months ago. I don't know. It seems like she puts a lot of time.
It doesn't matter what your goal is. Making a resume, writing.
Once again, no ads. I'm gonna get YouTube bread once we hit 5,000 subs. You know what I'm saying? So make sure you sub up. No ads when I'm reacting to stuff anymore after that, for sure.
It was just reported that more than 1 billion people are now watching podcasts on YouTube every month. That is absolutely wild.
It's a whole new world out there.
It's a different world.
Podcasts are more culturally relevant than they've ever been, and with that, something interesting is happening. Because journalism popularized the formal published interview format as we recognize it today, a lot of your favorite podcasters often get deemed journalists, or at least get asked about how they think about journalism, regardless of if they've ever claimed that role.
Do you think of yourself as a journalist then in a way?
Did you study media, journalism, anything like that?
There's a lot of people who
this is
refer to us as journalists. And I get very uncomfortable with that.
So, as traditional media struggles to keep up with independent, personality-driven media in the attention economy, a question that arises is, are podcasters replacing journalists? The other month I received an email from Mike Isaac, a New York Times journalist, which said, I found it interesting to see the rising trend of CEOs and major tech figures going direct to audience via long-form podcast interviews with folks like Dwarkesh Patel, Lex Fridman, and I believe yourself as well. In other words, doing sit-downs with folks outside of the establishment media sphere, meaning companies like my employer. I'd love to get your thoughts on why you think it's working, or as a strategy on the tech company's part, and what folks like yourself have to offer that traditional media does not, as well as what got you interested in doing it in the first place. There's so much to say about the current state of podcasting, and I'm very excited to talk about this as someone who, like Mike mentioned, is within this new sphere, but not only that, I'm also very excited to talk about this as someone who is 4 things. 1, often deemed a journalist, even though I never initially set out to be, and while I prioritize the practice and principles of journalism, still wouldn't deem myself that today. 2, a power consumer of podcasts, and someone who credits them for exposing me to information that changed my perspective and life for the better, especially in like 2018, 2019. Around then, Rogan, H3, and so on were my goats. 3, deeply intuitively curious about the evolution of media, and I have a lot of feedback on the current role that podcasts play within our information ecosystem. And lastly, 4, chronically online. So we're about to bring in a lot of the biggest names in podcasting into this conversation. Let's start by laying out.
All right, so this is an hour and a half. I thought it was just like a 12-minute video because the reel was like a minute and it was very engaging. So I'm not going to watch the full thing on stream. If I finish it and I want to discuss it, if enough people are like interested in it, I'll do it for the people. But I think my initial answers to what the guy asked her when he emailed her, it's a few things. And it's something I discussed already when I was talking about how some fans know more than journalists and the media nowadays when it comes to basketball. Like, you know, I'm in a sports space, so that's what I deal with directly the most. And I think it honestly just comes down to journalists being professionally trained, and like the point of journalism is to get out the truth, not to make you feel comfortable and make you share what you're comfortable with sharing. It often makes the subjects feel uncomfortable because it's like you're going in there not knowing what to expect, because if you're practicing the right way of journalism, like you're not telling them the questions ahead of time, and you're not like, okay, you can have the interview before we put it out, right? And the questions are not all sweet. It's not all good. It's not all goody two shoes. It's literally like hard-hitting, uncomfortable things to set out the truth. It's supposed to be down the middle as possible. And that can be scary because, like, for the person on the subject, they're scared, am I going to say the wrong thing? Because if I say the wrong thing, it becomes a whole thing. Dolce went in a whole alternate story form interview where her DJ was just reading questions on a card that the little drinking game people gave her with the white in the white studio background, you know what I'm saying? and she said that straight men was a red flag for her. Ever since then, on Twitter, everything Doechii has been hated on. Oh, if you're a bot, you listen to Doechii. Like, Doechii has bots. She has so and so million followers, listeners a month. That can't be true. These are all bots. Doechii isn't better than Young Thug. Doechii isn't better than Lucky. Doechii is terrible. Oh, boo Doechii. And it all started from really, the excuse to hate Doechii came from, the interview of her DJ reading questions that the little red background gave her. And it's sad, man. It's sad. So it's like artists, athletes, any subject of an interview, in this case, CEO, tech CEOs, they're scared to go to a journalist, a traditional journalist, because you can slip up and say the wrong thing through the course of an hour-long interview where questions you didn't know coming up, versus if you go to a blogger, a YouTuber, alternate media platform, then it's going to be guaranteed more lighthearted. If they're not trained, then they might be more likely to kind of lean into like supporting you and making it more of a fluff thing of just like bigging them up. Like, you're Mark Cuban. You know what I'm saying? I didn't watch the Mark Cuban interview on her channel, like I just said, but imagine like just 2 minutes of, you're Mark Cuban, you're so awesome, you're this and that, versus asking, so what happened with it? That's more of a journalist, right? Because they're just there to get the truth. They don't care if you like them. They don't care if you don't like them. They just want the truth. That's their only job. You know what I'm saying? So it could be a bit different when you're going to a fellow tech CEO's podcast, or you're going to a YouTuber's podcast and stuff like that. That's the difference. And that's why people are going to a streamer or a YouTuber versus traditional media. And then plus, like Russ said this a couple months ago, but he was like, also traditional media just doesn't have the same amount of motion that these streamers and other content creators have. Like, if I go on Kai Cenat, I'm guaranteed to be in front of an audience of 100,000 viewers. If it's the Mafia Don, it's probably like 500,000 people watching. Right now on DDG stream, 23,000 people are watching DDG make a song with the baby. If nobody clicks on the song, he's got to guarantee like 100,000 views on the video just from people who came in and watched these guys make the song tonight. A guaranteed 100,000. So it's clearly going to be more than that, because the clip channels are going to post them recording the song and the final song product, right? That's going to get at least 500,000 views. So like, it's a guaranteed 1 million views, 1 million plays, 1 million streams on a song if you do it on a stream with DDG, or if you do it on a stream with Black Boy Max. Like, it's a guaranteed hit almost. If you're a big enough artist, it's a guaranteed hit. Why not do that? So I'll do that, where I can get a whole nother song that's going to be popular, guaranteed popular, because I did it on the stream and people feel like they were a part of it. And the clip channels are going to post it. So that's free promotion, because I made the song on the stream. Plus, I just got 100,000 people watching me talking about what I got coming out, as opposed to I go to the New York Times and it gets 15,000 views on the New York Times site, because more people on the New York Times that they were worried about the breaking news that happened in Kansas or some other part of the United States, or what Trump did and stuff like that. So when you look at it like that, it's kind of like, just, it's fun. They're not going to put me in uncomfortable positions of answering questions I really don't want to ask. I'm going to have a good time, and I'm going to have more eyes on me. If I'm a basketball player and I go to Angel Reese podcast, I'm guaranteed to get 100,000 views on this episode. So it's a great PR move. It's a great use of time. And it's Angel Reese. It's another WNBA player. It's another professional athlete. I know Angel Reese is going to ask me the stuff that I don't want to be asked, and uncomfortable things, because she doesn't want to be asked uncomfortable things and things that she doesn't want to be asked as a fellow professional athlete. So that's just how it is, man. And I think that's just the current state of bloggers and podcasters not wanting to be called journalists, and kind of like that entire balance of things. So that's what I think with that. And it's something I kind of said before, another way of saying it, iteration of it. But yeah, that's what I think.
That's for losers, man. I don't get involved in that stuff. But
Angel Rashad Milligan rolling out.
That's a good question.
We can't ask Rashad questions.
Hey, Rashad.